We talked a little bit earlier about body image, some of the things that contribute to our body image, and how we can kind of challenge some of those thoughts. Thought it would be really good to also talk a little bit about some of the behaviors that we might see when someone has what would be a less than ideal body image of themselves. And so these are going to be behaviors that generally tend to stem in anxiety related to what we will call your eating disorder voice. So that is the voice in your head that kind of goes over and over again, ruminates on these thoughts about your value and your worth and the things that you should and should not be doing. And so these behaviors can look like mirror checking, obsessive body checking, continuous weighing yourself, wearing certain clothes, those kinds of things. Mirror checking is exactly what it sounds like. It's kind of going back to the mirror over and over again, looking at all the different parts of your body, being critical, checking those things back and forth. Body checking, it's a little bit dependent on the person. And so, really, what that means is just going back and forth and compulsively or obsessively checking different parts of your body for their size. And so, a lot of times that looks like your arms or your legs or your stomach, things that would be normal problem areas for most people to see how big they actually are and if they're meeting the standard in that person's mind. And so, usually they use their hands as measurements and things like that. I also said like weighing yourself, over and over again. Again, exactly what it sounds like. Going back to the scale multiple times throughout the day or every day just to kind of track your weight, see how it's going up or down, those kinds of things to determine how successful you actually are. And then another behavior that people may not really think is that big of a deal is wearing clothes that maybe are too large for your body to hide specific parts. And so this might require you changing outfits multiple times throughout the day, or even just like not even being able to leave the house because you can't find something that makes you feel like your body's in an acceptable place. And so again, these are going to be behaviors that are basically fueled in anxiety or nervousness about what your body looks like and how you feel like it's going to be perceived by others. And so then this behavior kind of goes. And so I wanted to tack on a little bit more, just a little bit about the eating disorder voice itself, because we haven't talked about that yet. And so really that's the voice in your mind that you hear that contributes to the desire to engage in unhealthy behaviors. And so it's the thing that tells you things like you're too fat, you shouldn't eat that, you look like garbage, those kinds of things. And so it tends to feel like a very separate voice that comes over and over again that feels like this is exactly what I should be doing. This behavior is the only way to find comfort, to get away from those negative thoughts. So, one of the other behaviors that's really big is going to be comparisons. And so, comparing yourself to other people or to different versions of yourself, even. So, some people who have weight fluctuations across the course of their life might look at pictures from 10 years ago and obsessively look at that and compare and say, well, this is where I'm at now. This is where I, was then, and, determine the value based on those two things of your body. Another thing is, again, the social media piece, just kind of looking at other people, wishing your body looked like theirs, sometimes trying to compare your body against unrealistic goals. Again, people who are maybe taller than you or, those kinds of things where it really does impact how the body looks. And so obsessive comparison about that thing. And so a lot of times for people who have a problem with comparing, they're going to be looking at themselves and then they're going to be engaging in those other behaviors that I talked about earlier. So it might be that you're looking at a person and you're like, man, I really kind of wish that I looked like that. Is that what I look like? How do I feel? And then you're doing the mirror checking and then you're doing the body checking and some of those behaviors. So understanding that there tends to be kind of a clear path of how we get to these behaviors. And I know it kind of seems like they're a totally bad thing and they're really negative and, it might make you feel even worse about yourself. And that's not really the point here. I really want you to understand that this is something that happens to a lot of people. I want to kind of validate these feelings that you're having, this voice in your head that kind of pushes you towards this behavior because a lot of people are dealing with the same thing. So if you find that this is where you're at, understand it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. This is just a part of the process, and the package of struggling with your body image and these things. And so the thing that's really great is being able to kind of challenge these behaviors. So, what do I do now that I know that these are the behaviors that I'm doing? And maybe I'm trying to do something a little bit different. And so, the idea is that you really want to take that nervous energy and channel it in a different direction, which is a very broad statement and probably is a lot easier said than done for a lot of people. And so, it's really just about finding the thing that specifically feels good to you to replace those behaviors. And so when you're looking to replace a behavior, this is not an all or nothing situation. You really want to just kind of start by slowly decreasing these behaviors day to day and seeing what that looks like. So I don't know, maybe if you like weigh yourself 5 times a day, we're like, let's see if I can weigh myself 4 times today, what that looks like. So take that energy for one of those times that you would get on the scale and put it in a different direction. And so a lot of the clients that I've worked with in the past have done so many things to take that energy and put it in a different direction. But some of those things have been like going outside, going for a walk. Some of my clients really like to be in nature, so they just like go sit outside and just kind of take in the energy that's around them. Listening to music is a great thing for a lot of people. Taking a shower, meditating, hanging out with an animal. If you have a pet, pets are great to kind of dispel some of that nervous energy that you're having. Go for a drive if you've got that, or just spend some time with someone that you trust, someone that's in your support system, and just kind of allow them to kind of help you ride through that feeling. The thing that's really important about trying to manage the expectation of that anxiety and kind of working through that is that it shouldn't feel like torture. So if you go to do one of these replacement behaviors and you're like, I'm trying really hard, minutes go by and you're like, I kind of hate this, I still want to do the thing, then maybe you need to do that thing just to get over the hump and like get through the day, and that's fine. And this is where it's going to be really, really important to seek out that professional help, to try to find someone who can support you through this and talk about what makes it hard to sit with those emotions. Like, how loud is your eating disorder voice? How much control are you feeling? Like, where do you feel at in this process? Because it's different for everyone. And so really, I say all of those things to just kind of say, like, body image is a very complex thing for a lot of people. Body image can be a problem if you don't have an eating disorder or disordered eating. It can, kind of couple with those two things together. And if you're moving towards the process of recovery, realistically, it's the hardest part of recovery is getting to the point where you can really accept your body and be okay and sit in those things. And so, it's going to be a process, but I just kind of want you to know, like, you got this, you're worthy, it's going to be great. And don't be afraid to stumble along the way or reach out for help if you need it.